on Jerry Royce Live worldwide at positivepower21.org. We thank you for joining us. You can also find us on Elation Radio. Serenity is a Christian-based multicultural empowerment station that focuses on the mind, body, and spirit. The program specializes in bringing to the listeners the very best from the healing arts community on the subjects of self, health care, spiritual healing, and kingdom living. Serenity Radio is sponsored by the Serenity Weight Loss and Detoxification Program. To enroll, contact Michelle Edmonds, a.k.a. the Godmother, at 404-445-8579, or hit them up on Facebook at Serenity Weight Loss. The next voice that you hear will be that of our awesome host.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening for our time together. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy days to make time for us and allowing us to be a part of your life and allowing us to be a part of your healing. We have an exciting show this evening to discuss a topic that is kind of near and dear to my heart. And one that I'm really excited to share with you. And we have Tracey here this evening, and Michelle is here with us this evening. Mark has been called away on an emergency. A lot of you know that he still serves much of his time in emergency services and healthcare, and he's been called away on an emergency. And so you'll be joining us three gals this evening, the Sassy Girls. And we have a great show. And before we get started, there's Tracey's laugh. Before we get started, let's just go into prayer real quick. And so, God, we know that we don't have to ask you to come and be with us, that you are with us already. And we thank you and we praise you, Lord, for all the beauty that you bring in our lives and all the wisdom that you bring in our lives. We thank you for God's garden. We thank you for our health and for the knowledge we have to use the foods that you've given us to support our bodies and repair our bodies. And we just thank you so much, Lord. We ask, God, that you just touch our listeners, and you have called forth those that you want to hear this call this evening. And we just ask, God, that you reach out and that you touch them, that you open their heart, you open their mind to understand what we're sharing, and that you just bring to them through us their own wisdom and open hearts and education so that they can heal their bodies and heal the bodies of those that they love. And we just thank you for this time. In Jesus' name. All right. So,
Amen.
hi. Amen.
Hi.
I am AndreaNichols Coleman, and we have joining us this evening, of course, is Tracey, and Michelle is with us too. And we want to talk
everyone.
Hey, everyone, and amen.
And this evening, we wanted to talk a little bit about prescription drugs. And is the cure through prescription drugs worth the cost of taking prescription drugs? And so we want to kind of break that down a little bit for you and kind of explain a little bit about the side effects of prescription drugs and offer some alternatives that you can use in place of the prescription drugs, or at least some alternatives that you can use along with the prescription drugs to help counter some of the effects that you're having. And before we get started with all that, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that I am not a doctor. I just play one on the radio. Just kidding.
It might be safer.
I am not a doctor, and our show is not approved or followed by the Food and Drug Administration. But what we bring to you is scientifically proven or scientifically based and it has been clinically proven, strategies to prevent and to repair ailments and illnesses and diseases in the body. And so we're bringing to you our own personal experiences that we have been involved in over the years in helping others recover from issues without using drugs or prescription or surgery. And so we just kind of want to make sure everybody knows that. And another thing is that it's very little known, but it's potentially a life-saving fact, is that common medications deplete your body of a host of vital nutrients that are essential to your health. And what we want to try and do this evening is kind of show you how to avoid this drug-induced nutrient depletion, and then to discuss some options for replacing the nutrient-robbing medications with natural supplements or whole foods. And so that's kind of our goal this evening. And the truth is that every medication, including over-the-counter drugs, depletes your bodies of specific vital nutrients. And it's especially concerning when you consider that most of Americans are already suffering from a tremendous amount of nutrient depletion or deficiencies. And so I kind of, Tracey, can you kind of share with us a little bit? You've commented a couple of times about living in the blue zone. And so can you kind of just share what that means, what that is? Tracey, are you with us? Okay. So I'm not sure that Tracey, she might have stepped away from her phone for a little bit, but that's okay. So, nutrients are not 100%. All of the nutrients that your body needs are not 100% and one all over the world. Like you can't go in your backyard and dig up and have every single nutrient that you need. And there are certain areas across the globe that contain higher abundant amounts of the nutrients that our bodies need than others. And so if you don't live in one of those areas, it's very important that you supplement your diet with these. And so in America, we live in one of those nutrient-depleted soil areas. And so it's really important that we supplement here. What happens is that with a lot of conditions, when you go to the doctor, your physician sees, these ailments and diseases and illnesses in their everyday practice. And, sometimes they fail to recognize that some of the issues that we're having are a nutrient deficiency. But the good news is we're going to arm you with the information that you need this evening to have the right supplement so that you can avoid this in the future. And so I kind of want to share a little bit about, what kind of might be a common scenario. And a young lady that I worked with who was 57 years old, and she was being treated by her doctor. She was on 3 medications, which is kind of average. I think that there's a tremendous amount of Americans are at least on 1 medication, but the average is probably 3 medications. In this case, she was on a diuretic. She was on medication for high blood pressure, and she was on medication for osteoporosis.
Andrea, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes.
Oh, thank God for that.
Yes.
I think I dropped out for a little day.
Okay. And then, she actually was on 4 medications because during during her time with me, she was actually put on a beta blocker for heart palpitation. She came to me because despite her time with the doctor and the medications that she was on, she was still suffering from tremendous amounts of fatigue. She was having anxiety and mood swings. She, 1 minute was affectionate with her children, and the next minute she was just snapping at them and yelling at them. then as soon as it started, it was over for her mood swing, like the extreme of her mood swing. And she found herself having to apologize over and over again for acting that way toward her children. And so she had depression. She couldn't sleep at night. And when she came and talked with me, these were some of the things that she shared with me. And her doctor had no idea why she was acting that way. He wanted to send her for a psychological examination because of the symptoms she was having, and said, maybe it was just stress, that she was stressed out because of her life, and it was causing these symptoms. And, and didn't even consider to look at the side effects of some of the medications that she was on, and definitely did not look at the fact that some of the medications that she was on was depleting her body of nutrients, and nutrients that our bodies need to help us sleep at night, that help us relax, that lift our spirits, that help us control that flight or fight in us so that we don't shift from those dramatic mood swings, from laughing to anger to smiling to crying. And there are particular nutrients that help us stabilize a lot of this in our lives, and the doctor did not look at any of this. And so when you looked at the medications that she was on, what we saw was that they could be depleting the potassium and magnesium levels in her body that were resulting possibly in the heart palpitations that she was having and the hypertension. We looked at the diuretic that she was taking, and recognizing that this diuretic was depleting, could have been depleting her zinc levels, which zinc is, as Tracey knows and Michelle too, is imperative in helping our bodies assimilate the magnesium and copper and potassium and a lot of other things that our body uses to function properly. And so when we looked at some of these things, and she went back and asked her doctor for her next labs to test specifically for specific minerals levels in her body, we did find that she was deficient in the magnesium and potassium and the zinc and a lot of other nutrition that was needed that definitely could have been the cause of some of her mood swings. And so what we decided to do is Kathy spoke with her doctor, and, he agreed for her to try any supplement that she wanted to try. He didn't really feel it would do much for her. So he continued to supervise her medication, and I worked with her with nutrition and helping her to feed her body what it needed, and, giving her daily doses of what she needed. And sure enough, her psychiatric symptoms went away. She no longer had the fatigue. She no longer had the mood swings. She no longer had the depression. And she came to me crying, and I cried too, because my children have said the same thing to me when I first learned about minerals, that her children came to her and said, please don't stop taking the nutrition, and we want it too, because we want to be happy like you're happy now. And so that right there just speaks volumes to me. We live in a life where we spend so much time looking to our lab report to know if we're healthy or not. And here her children were saying to her, Mom, now you're healthy because now you're happy. Now you're beaming. Now you're thinking through your anger instead of reacting on your anger. And so that just speaks volumes to me to see that. So once we can understand the role that various medications play in causing nutrient depletion, then we can look for ways to correct that, right? And so, Tracey, are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. I I had asked earlier, and I kind of wanted you to talk a little bit about blue zones, because you've mentioned blue zones a couple of times, and I do not live in a blue zone. You do not live in a blue zone. And so what does that mean to you?
The blue zones are areas where I think they have more nutrient-rich soils. You know, so when your vegetables are grown, people who live in those areas are getting all their nutrients from their foods. And so they don't suffer the things that maybe you and I suffer, where we're buying processed foods or vegetables and fruit grown in areas with hardly any minerals. And there's only 4 of them in the world. The Garden of Eden, Costa Rica. Somewhere in the U.S., actually, you guys have one where sanitarium foods are.
Ours is in the northern. Ours is in like the northern mid-states, way north, kind of between North America and Canada. But all of our food is grown in the Southwest in Mexico.
Well, that's it. Yeah. So and I can't remember the 4th place, but people seem to live longer there. They don't have the nutrient deficiencies as much as other places in the world.
Right, so, and not only do they live longer, but they live longer, healthier lives. Mm-hmm. They don't succumb to the illnesses and diseases that we do.
Mhm. So I mean, if you're going to want to live that length of time, we all can't go and live in these areas, and migrate out there. But we can supplement and have the same life that they have.
Right, and we can supplement, and we can also supplement our garden.
Yeah. Add the ash and blooming minerals. You can get blooming minerals now to put in your gardens. But those are the things that you would need to do to grow your vegetables. That's if you want to do that. And if you've got the time to do that. And not many people have time to do that. So supplementation comes in, and it makes a big difference. And like you say, drugs deplete us of minerals. And if we supplement with this, you notice the changes, because it's a totally different way of, the body absorbs it. Drugs stay in our blood, and minerals seem to go into our cells and start healing.
Right.
So
yeah. So if you look at the 4, and I kind of break it down to 4 ways. There might be more if you really got detailed in it, but just to keep it kind of generic, I look at those being kind of 4 ways that pharmaceutical medication disrupt our ability to have, and I call it nutrified. I don't know, is that a word, nutrified? I don't know. I think I use it all the time, and I type it. I type it when I'm on Facebook or in Word or on my phone, and it always comes up flagged, like the red line, like this is not a word.
And I confess, the first time I heard about it was at Longevity. I must say. So we'll blame them.
Well, so in 5 years, that is going to be in Webster's dictionary, and it's going to say, Andrea created that word.
That's right. Andrea, before you go further, we had a question, just a real quick answer. What diuretic was that person taking where you gave the testimony at the beginning?
Well, I kind of purposely did not mention the specific diuretic that she was taking, because there's so many. I mean, I'll be happy to send it to you in a private message, and you can share it.
Okay.
But I do want to say that there's so many. There's you have your brand diuretic, and then you have your knockoffs, right? Your generic, right? And so for me to label one, I don't have time to label them all, And for me to label just one, isn't fair to those who are listening and saying, oh, well, I'm not on that one.
Right.
So that's not going to affect me. But I'll be happy to private message that to you. And anyone who's taking a diuretic, you need to read not just a diuretic, but any medication, you've got to read your pamphlet. And go on to the Internet and look up, put in your medication and side effects, and look up what those side effects are. And then sometimes you really have to be proactive and look up some of the terminology that they give you, right? Where, I was kind of, as I first started out of college in my career and I started working places, and I would come across things I wasn't familiar with, and they would kind of tell me, if you don't know what it is, don't worry about it. It's not your job description, right? And so if you've been told that enough times, you kind of develop this tendency to overlook things you don't understand, thinking, well, that doesn't pertain to me. But in this case, it very much pertains to you. And so you do need to look at the side effects. And if you don't understand some of the verbiage, you need to Google that verbiage and or reach out to me, reach out to Tracey or Michelle. We can all be found on Facebook. We can be found at Wellness Warriorz on Facebook. And, we'll do our best to kind of help you navigate through that. But then, of course, you need...
Or we tend to ignore those words we can't pronounce.
Right. Exactly. But, Michelle, a natural diuretic, and I don't know why people are put on diuretics, because probably they have swollen ankles and feet and things like that, and your lymphatic system is not working to drain fast enough. And the only reason for that is because you do not have enough proteins in your blood. And when the pressure in your blood vessels are not correct, then your lymphatic system does not work as well. So you need the right pressure in that for both the systems to work to eliminate fluids. So in order to do that, you need to increase your eggs, because when you eat eggs, it puts protein into your blood system. And if you eat celery, that's a natural diuretic. So you'll be running out of blood if you eat those.
Right.
Yeah. So when you have your blood system working fine, your vascular system working, you find your lymphatic system works, and you're able to urinate, and you don't have pooling of fluid in your legs, and you don't have that swollen ankles and swollen feet.
And I remember my great-grandmother. My grandmother was first generation from Italy, and my great-grandmother was alive for the first half of my life. And I can remember in the morning when I would wake up, she was always up before us. Everything was made from scratch. And I can remember coming in the kitchen, and there would be a glass with chopped celery, like diced celery, soaking in this large glass of water. And she would put a little salt in it, mineral salt, not like white table salt. Her salt was always tan or pink, or it was a mineral. It wasn't, like table salt. Yes, looked like sand. And she would drink that. She would drink that in the morning, would be the first thing that she would drink every single morning when she woke up. And Tracey, you have a favorite drink. What's your favorite drink first thing in the morning?
My grandmother used to do that too, but she'd make us drink every morning lemon juice in hot water with gelatin, Knox gelatin. Tasted like bones, smelled terrible. But we used to do that. And she'd put MSM. I didn't know what MSM was then. I know what MSM is now. It tasted awful.
You have to be careful saying that word today.
That's right.
But I can't pronounce it. I think
it's a sassy girl.
Or something like that. But it's very bitter. and it's a mineral salt that we need, in our bodies. And to mask that taste, the lemon juice was in the hot water to mask the bones and the MSM. So, of course, we had to drink that every day. And that apparently got your liver functioning, liver working, and all your systems so that, you didn't have the pooling of fluids in your legs. And you didn't have the joint pains or any of those things. So that was an old remedy that she used to do. And, of course, I do it now as well every morning. Sometimes I skip it because I can't stand the taste. But it's something that we all should do to just get our systems going. The celery was also a thing that she would do in hot water, soak them and drink them like that.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
And also the person is just yelling that they take furosemide. They were prescribed furosemide.
Okay. Oh, that's the diuretic.
Yes, the diuretic, right.
Mm-hmm.
And she thanks you for the excellent explanation.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I'll be sure to get what my the customer was taking. I'll get that to you. I'll PM that to you after the show. But I didn't want to label anything because I didn't want it to sway anyone in one direction or the other. Because it doesn't matter what you're taking if you're on that type of medication. And I'm only just going to talk about a few here. One of the things I'm not going to talk about is thyroid medication. And, anyone who knows my story knows what I came back from, what I built my body back from. And I was on thyroid medication, and that obviously just really played a toll on my body. But that's not something that particularly that I'll be discussing this evening. But some things that I do want to talk about are the things that we look at when we look at and start to understand the role that various medications play in causing nutrient depletion. We look at things like drugs that are stimulants. And you can take those for lots of different reasons, anything from ADD to depression. You can take this. And so, there are different ways that drugs deplete our bodies. And like with a stimulant, a lot of times these stimulants, it could be as simple as with the stimulants that they reduce our appetite, and then we don't want to eat. I see lots of kids. I work with lots of parents who have children, and the children just don't want to eat. They're not hungry. And that's what a lot of times stimulants do. They reduce our appetite. And if we're not eating, we're not taking in the little bit of nutrient that is in our food. And so it's important to just kind of keep an eye on that and watch that. On the flip side of that, some of these drugs deplete nutritional status by increasing the desire for unhealthy food. We take medications and they give us the munchies, right? And we want sugar and refined carbohydrates, and a lot of medications that do this are neuroleptic or antipsychotic type medication. Some antidepressants cause insulin resistance and result in blood sugar swings, right? And then because of the blood sugar swing, the medication's not looked at being the cause of that. Now the patient becomes diabetic as well and is put on medication to control that. And so, but with that and, with the insulin resistance, you're left craving the simple carbohydrates, such as sugars and breads and pastas. And, it's a true vice. It's a true crave. Like it's not, it's a craving that is almost beyond your willpower to be able to say no because it's insatiable in craving this. And so, A lot of people who are using inhalers for asthma can end up with the same, we call it pica or cribbing. They're the terms that I learned from the doctors that I work with, but it's those munchies that you have. Certain medications can reduce the specific nutrients in your intestines, right? They will bind to the nutrition before the nutrition has an opportunity to be absorbed into the bloodstream. And so it's really important that when you're taking antibiotics or that you're taking, certain medications, that you look up those side effects and that is this medication going to block absorption by binding to my minerals, right? Minerals that are very important, like calcium. Now, a lot of people think calcium is just for your bones or teeth, but it's not. Calcium is the baseline and the catalyst for a lot of physiological functions that take place in the brain. And so it's just really important that if you know your medication is going to block the absorption of calcium, then I need to take that medication and my calcium supplement 2 hours apart, 3 hours apart, so that my body has an opportunity to absorb the nutrition and then the minerals that we were taking, right? And so, we're not necessarily saying, oh, quit all of your medication right now tonight. We are not saying that. We would never say that. But we are telling you, be more aware, right, of these medications that bind to calcium and magnesium, or they bind to iron, or they bind to zinc while they're in your intestinal tract before your body has a chance to absorb them. And if that's the case, then take them. Separate the time that you take your supplement and your medication so that your body has an opportunity to absorb that. We look at a lot of weight loss drugs and cholesterol-lowering medications bind to fat, preventing them from being absorbed. Now, somebody might think, oh, well, not absorbing fat's a good thing, right? But we need fat. We need a healthy fat to support our brain, to support the myelin that encases all of our nerves, and we need the healthy fat for our hormones. Our hormones are made of 100% cholesterol, and if you're having hormone issues, then you're either not eating eggs or the cholesterol from your eggs is not being absorbed because of a medication or because of possibly a weight loss drug. Now, I'm not talking about weight loss through nutrition. I'm talking about a weight loss drug that you're possibly taking, which is preventing the one thing, fat, that helps you lose weight. And so it's especially problematic because it can interfere with the quality of your stomach acid as well. And so when you couple that with people who are older, who already have low stomach acid, that it just becomes a problem there. And so when we look at nutrition, that's essential to our metabolism and our metabolic activities of every single cell in the body. They get used up in the process, and they need to be replaced by new nutrients, and it's clear that our food just doesn't have the amount of nutrition that we need in it. And so it's just imperative that you supplement. But some things like penicillin, just a simple antibiotic, but it depletes nutrients in your body because it speeds up the metabolic rate of your body, as well as steroids such as prednisone, and then any type of gout medication can end up doing the same. And so I'm gonna stop here for a minute because I think, Tracey, did you have something that you were wanting to jump in on?
Well, I was going to say, you mentioned about taking the mineral supplements 2 hours apart from your medication. The reason being is that the way minerals are absorbed into our system, they detox. And if you're going to take your medication at the same time, the strangest thing is when the body gets natural nutrients, especially minerals, it recognizes a drug as a drug, and it will detox you from that. So the symptom of that is going to be nausea. And, people usually kind of attribute that to the minerals, and that the minerals are the cause of it. But it's actually the drug, because it's a foreign body, so or foreign toxin in our system. So giving that 2 hours apart helps the body use the nutrients effectively, because they only stay in our bloodstream for 2 hours. However, they are used rather well compared to a drug, but they do enhance how that particular drug is going to work. So the symptoms of those drugs will be enhanced as well, which means you have to watch out for those side effects when you do this,
right.
Or when you're supplementing, so that you don't have that imbalance. Not that you won't. It's still going to do that. As your immune system becomes stronger, as your microbiomes become stronger, you will find that the medication you are on is not needed, and you have to go to your doctor and get the prescription lowered. So just to be aware on that, on supplementation. That's what will happen.
And we see this a lot. We see this a lot. Tracey and I do so much. And Michelle, I know that you see it too, right? And everybody comes back and they say, oh, those minerals made me sick, right? Those minerals gave me a headache. Those minerals made me nauseated. Those minerals made me dizzy. Those minerals. The minerals did it because they are the only new thing that I added to my diet, right?
I hear that a lot. Andrea.
You hear it a lot. And it's not the minerals. It's not the minerals. But the minerals do, as Tracey explained, and the minerals do make everything in the body work better. And a classic example is, I've been 100% supplementing for 7 years now, and some of that was starting with supplements and then trying to find better supplements. And so then I incorporated 4 years ago the healthy eating, eliminating the 12 bad foods, because there are foods that will do the same thing as far as blocking nutrition that we're talking about these medications this evening. And so I had to learn those foods to eliminate from my diet. But I've been eating healthy. I've not had any issues. If I feel a little cold coming on, it's gone the next morning. And, just been very healthy. And so my son had his 15th birthday a couple weeks ago. And I shared the story on Facebook, but I did not share it with everybody, so I don't know who all is listening that has read it already. But I shared the story. We went out, and, one of the things, my son was diagnosed epileptic when he was in second grade. And as people who know my family and know my story, we overcame that. He's not had, he's a rising 10th grader, and he's not had a seizure since 2014. In 2014, he was off all of his medication. And so he had to go 2 years without a seizure before they would wean him off of the medication. And anyone who's on epileptic medication knows just coming off of it will cause a seizure. And so that's 4 years? 3 years. 3 years, no medication, 5 years, no seizures, since we altered his diet with whole foods and eliminated the bad stuff. But the one thing he wanted, can I just have a regular slice of pizza? I just want, for my birthday, one regular slice of pizza. So we went for pizza. I took him, and we went and had pizza, New York-style pizza, the chewy crust that when you tear it apart, it's like what you see in the commercials, like cheese, right? just slowly tears apart, melts in your mouth, but never really, you can't chew it up because the crust is so chewy. So that's what we went for. I'm sure the pizza was loaded with sugar. I'm sure that it was loaded with excitotoxins, which is another huge thing for me that a lot of people seem to kind of overlook. And I'm sure it was loaded with like sugar, oil, gluten, all the stuff that you're not supposed to eat. And so I didn't have to have a slice, and I'm sitting there. Everybody's having a slice of pizza, and I look up, and my son is looking at me like, really? God, can you just be like everybody else for 1 hour and eat the pizza? Right? So I ate the pizza. And I have to tell you, it's taken me, that was the 20, what was that? It was a week after? No, it was the 23rd. His birthday was the 23rd of May. And last week, I felt my body, finally got my body back. And when I say my body, I had my brain back, I had my vision back, I had my waist back. I mean, but it took that long. I'm telling you. Tracey, you're laughing at me. Tracey read my story. That's why she's laughing. But,
it took you over 2 weeks to recover from one slice of pizza?
Yes.
Well, Michelle, it takes you, when you eat something like that, it takes 6 days to flush out of your system.
Yes,
it takes
yes.
you almost 30 days to recover from it. And, you may think it's just a little piece but I know what Andrea is talking about, and it's amazing when you're eating clean and the body gets its nutrients. It does not need all those things, and you tend to realize that your foods are not all those things that people eat in restaurants. Your foods become very plain, just proteins and vegetables, not fancy stuff, just the mundane things that you may think is boring, but when you eat it, it's almost like your body thanking you for eating that. So when you add something like pizza in, if you haven't got a clean body, you don't know the feeling. You don't know what it does. But if you have a system that is really clean, just swallowing that food and sitting there for 5 minutes, you can feel the changes come on and what it does. And it's something, yeah.
I was just going to ask, we're talking also to members of the Serenity Weight Loss and Detoxification Program, and there's, anytime you're talking weight loss, you're talking some cheating. Would you please underline what you just said again about a clean body and then reintroducing what we call, in layperson terms, cheating? Can you just underline what you said one more time about the body's reaction to introducing those foods?
Yeah, when you have a clean body, you know how it works. You have clarity of mind, you have energy, you're just on a high all
clear
the time.
Vision.
And then, and then you add something like pizza. And I know we're all humans, and we all have the same. Yeah, we can do it for so long, and then all of a sudden, you just have this feeling like, oh, let me be like everybody else and eat that.
Right.
And you know,
and we all do it, Andrea. We all do it.
In your soul not to do that. It stares you clearly in the face. You're looking at that food and you're thinking, no, man, I can't eat this. But you're looking at everybody else's faces and they're all waiting for you to see what you're going to do. So you just
it's the peer pressure.
You don't want to upset everybody. But when you eat that, you actually can feel it come on. Minutes after you consume it, you can feel this. It's almost like, I say it's in the gut, because once it hits your gut, your body is like, why the hell did you eat it? It literally comes on, that feeling of, I can't explain how the cell, like, the thing is, it's like it's shutting down. Like it's like, okay, I had enough. I'm going to shut down. I'm going to give you something that you're going to realize you did wrong. But it takes 30 days to get over that. And
it does.
You know, for 3 minutes of pleasure, you've got 30 days of your body giving you this hard time of feeling sick, of not being quite right there. Some people may get burning headaches, and you'll be sleeping, and you feel this like, you know, your brain's on fire, and you're wondering, why is the sensation in my head? And that's one of the things that you'll find when you eat foods that are not for you. So if Andrea says when she ate it on the 23rd of May, 23rd of June,
and this is June 15th.
Let me tell you,
felt that.
It's been miserable. I'm telling you, I shimmied on. You know, Tracey and I just came off this like mineral weight loss thing, right? We're not off of it, but where we've been researching and looking for the D minerals that tone and tighten and burn, right? And so I shimmied on. I had a hot pair of side zip short that I wore, and I shimmied them on without unzipping them. They were loose. They were comfortable. I had on a little tank top with it, and I'm telling you, I felt like, whether I looked like it or not, I felt like I was it that day. And I ate that pizza, and I kid you not, we lived less than 15 minutes from that pizza joint that we ate at, and by the time I got home, my shorts were so tight, they literally were cutting into my stomach.
You had gotten so bloated?
So tight. Yeah,
yes,
they were cutting into my stomach.
Your tummy.
And I had started to swell everywhere.
Yes.
My legs, all of a sudden my thighs were rubbing together when they hadn't done that in months, right? I was starting to swell everywhere. I had the burning in my leg that Tracey had mentioned. I also get blurry vision. You know, when you're driving and you look at the red light and you see like this halo of lights around the red light or around the yellow light.
Or around
that's
the moon
inflamed vessels. That's inflamed vessels in the eye, right?
I see.
And so I had the blurry vision. I had the headache. I came home and I slept the next 2 hours of my son's birthday party.
See, that's the other thing it would give you, Michelle. It would, when you eat foods that are, when you're being clean, you notice that minutes after eating it, everything slows down, and you are extremely exhausted. Not only does it do that, it lowers your immune system, which means you're more susceptible to picking up a virus wherever you are. And so the next day you've got the flu or you've got a cold or something like that.
There you go. You just said it, Tracey, and I'm sorry to cut you off. Yeah. But so many of our team members, when they cheat and you reintroduce foods into their clean body, they run to the scale and go, phew, the weight's still the same. The point that we're getting tonight, which is wonderful, and I love it, and it's why I want you to sit with it, is that, no, not phew. There are other symptoms to watch out for.
Yes.
That are going on in your body that you might not recognize, such as something even as serious as, and one team member right now has symptoms of the flu, and it's June. Yep. I am suspicious that person had a binge of cheating. And he, that's right, and that's right. And I'm not going to call his name, but But we're on to something, aren't we, Tracey? We're on to something here, aren't we, ladies?
It's not just food, okay? It doesn't have to be food. For instance, my daughter, she's being clean, and she goes through these stages. And she was like, I'm not eating bread, I'm not having milk, I'm not doing all. Okay, go ahead and do it. Well, yesterday, my oldest son came home with a shake, okay, strawberry shake. And he walked in, and she was sitting there, and he said, you want a drink? And she said, oh, you're sick, I can't drink it. So he said, okay, here. And he took the lid off and the straw out, and he went and he got a straw, and he put another straw in. He said, have a drink. Now, I was sitting there, I was watching her, and I'm thinking, well, okay, you want to learn the hard way, go ahead, drink it. So she took 2 sips of it, and she said, oh, that's too sweet, I don't want it. Well,
too late.
An hour later she came, an hour later, it was 2 sips, okay, maybe a mouthful of it or whatever. She came and she said, Mom, where's the kefir? Where's the fermented drink? And I said, what's wrong? And she said, my throat's sore. So I said, oh. She says, everybody had the flu. And, I said, he didn't spit back into that drink, okay? So she says, yeah, but now my throat is sore. Well, this morning, she's as sick as a dog.
Uh-huh.
And I said to her, I said, Ellie, you have been clean. Do you understand? You go through these stages. You've been clean for more than a month now. Why did you drink that? And she said, oh, just wait till you do something. I'm going to remind you.
Mm-hmm. Well, and
it just takes a drink. It just takes a bite of something, and it lowers your immune system because your gut, the microbiomes like to be healthy. And then one of these little things, a mouthful of something, just lowers them.
I see.
Gives them that
and
boost.
This
gives the boost for the bad bacteria to take hold. Now you've fed them. You're not feeding the good bacteria.
Excellent.
Right.
And this is the same reaction that your body has to drugs. That's what we're saying.
It is. Well, it's the same. It's the same system.
Same principle.
That detoxes the flu. That detoxes your drug addiction. That detoxes the bad food from you. It's the same system.
Same.
Right. There's not, and so so the reaction is the same, and depending on the severity of the toxin, is the severity of the symptom.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I eat something that is, food poisoning, my stomach is going to purge that immediately so it does not get through my system. Right? As opposed to me eating a little bit of a chemical or a little bit of, sugar or processed oil or something like that, that it's not going to purge, but my body is going to be inflamed because that's part of the process of tackling it and cleansing it from the body, right? But I have reached out to Tracey through all of this, and I had said, oh, Tracey, I'm all bloated, my eyes are blurry, my head hurts, right? 3 days later, I'm like, well, my headache's gone, but I'm still seeing, double vision on the computer screen. I had to blow my words up so I could read it easier. And
yes, I remember that.
Right, and then by week 2, I don't know, has it even been? How long is it? It's 3 weeks. That's 3 weeks if you look at a calendar, probably 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in my 3rd week. So then, once my body started to eliminate it, I had the cellulite and the flab and the soft, squishy muscles and just all of that stuff, right? And so I said to Tracey yesterday, I said to her, my body is finally eliminating all that stuff because I can't stop going to the bathroom.
What happened? Where did?
Right? I've been going to the bathroom, going to the bathroom. Now I'm not having diarrhea, but I'm having a stool 3 to 4 times a day. I'm urinating every 3 hours, right?
That's
and
a detox.
Right? And I could easily say, God, what did I do? What did I eat yesterday? Well, this isn't what I ate yesterday. This is what I ate on the 23rd of May, finally getting out of my body.
That's right.
So
everyone thinks it comes out the next day or the same day. It does not.
No. And so you're talking about, what if I had that pizza again on the 24th, and again on the 25th, and then again on the 26th, right? And then I come back to you and say, Michelle, your diet doesn't work.
That's right. That's right.
Because your body
you know
never...
what, Michelle? When you take that one bite of a pizza or anything, you can't stop there. It's like a drug. Because you think, I fell off the wagon today. So what? Let me eat it again. And it becomes a vicious cycle.
It does.
Until you are so sick that you are saying, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And
well, it's a drug, right? So it's like you wanting your fix. Your body needs that fix.
Exactly. And every day you just do it a little, and you eventually come to the point where you're saying, oh, my God, look at what I weigh on the scale. You know, I put on 2 kilos or 4 pounds or something like that. And so you stop. But you'll do it for a month or 2 months, and somebody else comes by or something happens, and you've like, I lost the weight, I feel good, I look so good. Wow, one little bite or one little sip won't do anything to you. But it does. It makes such a big difference when your system is clean. Because now you're back on that same treadmill again.
Yeah, and it's just not worth it. It just isn't worth it. And I didn't even eat the whole piece, just for all of you listening.
Right.
I tried to pretend, right?
I
tried to turn my head sideways, and instead of putting the pizza in my mouth, I ran it by the side of my head.
Everyone was on your tongue.
Boo, boo. Oh my goodness! But I have to tell you, you're miserable. But it's not the minerals. It's not the minerals.
And I just want to add, we understand how people can think that it is the minerals, because that is where the warnings are from the medical profession. They don't tell you about all the warnings for the prescription drugs. The warnings are about the minerals and all those health food store items that you're taking. Be careful. So we understand.
Right, it is that. But also, Michelle, if I want something, if I'm a little kid and I want something from you and you do not want me to have it, and I say, please, 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 and the first time I ask, you say no. The second time I ask, you say no. But by the 5th and the 7th and the 15th time, what are you doing? At this point, you're ignoring me, right?
That's
our
right.
Our body shuts down the same way. It'll shut down the same way, and it's suppressed. Your symptoms suppress, and it'll stop saying to you, this is making me sick. And when that happens is when you start to see damage on the cellular level.
That is so good. That the body itself has been trying to say no to you over and over and over again, and finally it starts to shut down too. That's so good.
Exactly. And when it shuts down, some people will say, my limbs went heavy, and I couldn't move for maybe a minute or two, and it seems like hours you can't move. But when that's called cataplexia, okay? It's actually a clinical definition of a symptom, okay, called cataplexia, where your brain actually shuts down. Your eyes are wide open. You cannot move. You have to wait for this feeling to pass before you can do anything. You can see everything. You're wide awake looking at everything, except your brain's not functioning.
Right.
And it's because of what you've eaten. And if you go to a doctor and you tell him that this is what's happened, he's not going to say it's from food. He tells you, you may have narcolepsy or you have cataplexia.
He's definitely not going to tell you it's from the medication he already has you on.
Yeah. And you may not be on medication, but, this is what you will feel when you are clean and you eat something. You're either going to fall asleep, just drop and fall asleep, or you're going to be wide awake, either driving your car, but you can't do anything. You are registering everything, but you cannot do anything until the feeling passes. And it's so fast that you feel your heart almost kicking in, and it's racing when you come out of it.
Right.
And you think, oh my God, I nearly killed myself. I went through a red light. How did I do that? And it's red, but you can't stop. And you just go right through, and the minute you pass through that, your heart is racing. It's not a disease. It is a symptom of a nutrient disease because you've eaten rubbish, but it's not something you need to treat with a drug if you know what you're doing. Right. I didn't know it was called cataplexia until I heard somebody explaining it, and I was like, oh my God. Every time I've eaten food and I've driven the car and I felt this coming on, I could have killed my children. I've always said that. I could have killed my kids. And it's after a meal. And now I know the clinical name for it is called cataplexia. Okay?
Right.
It is a mineral deficiency of chromium, vanadium, and copper.
Right.
It's in our minerals, okay? Manganese is another mineral that could, if you're low on, or zinc, that can bring this on. And foods can block those things, too, from being absorbed into your system.
Right. Right.
And it's a frightening experience. So anyone who's not been diagnosed with that and feels it when they've had a meal or they're driving home from somewhere and their bodies become heavy, and they cannot move or they cannot do anything, it's the brain shutting down because it feels damage is going to be caused.
And it doesn't even have to be that extreme.
For a little while.
It doesn't have to be that extreme because it could be like where Tracey says, oh, God, I just ran through that red light and I didn't even know. How did I run through that red light? I didn't even see it. Well, you did see it. So what it can also be is the light is yellow, but you don't care. That is a milder symptom of the extreme being you just ran the red light, right? So, I just kind of want to put that out there because I just want to make sure people think, oh, well, I was able to move my arms and my legs, so that wasn't me. Well, there are simpler onsets for that, and then it gets worse as it progresses, right, those symptoms. And but, yeah, it is. It's very real. And I am getting ready to make you all and your listeners very, very angry because it is at the top of the hour. It's 9 o'clock. Yes. And so, Mark, I hope that you're listening and that you joined us in spirit. We are going to have to make this a two-part broadcast. So that
I think we could.
Next week we can come back and we can talk about the common nutrient robbers in our medicine and in our foods, and then we will give you ways to counter that.
Well, Mark thinks we always maneuver extra time anyway, right? And somehow miraculously we've made this a two-part, just like that. We hope everyone, we just enjoyed this so much. This was just wonderful, excellent information. Just wanted to clarify, Tracey, I'm getting from the audience in the chat room that you're saying cataplexy. Is that correct?
Yeah, cataplexia.
Oh, cataplexia or cataplexy, which is cataplexia, which is a form of or similar to narcolepsy, is in that family.
Narcolepsy, you fall asleep.
Is sleeping, but cataplexia is sort of this surreal, out of body, not being aware of what they're doing, even though they're awake.
Yeah.
Got it.
Right. Yes.
Just wanted to clarify
from that case. But the brain is not registering.
Is not responding.
Yeah, and that can be that moment when you're yelling at your kids and you're thinking, this isn't right, but I can't stop doing it.
Got it. Right? That's very, very helpful information. I'm getting a lot of thumbs up on my end.
And we all suffer that, Michelle.
We all suffer from it.
And you'll notice that the people who notice it the most will notice it when they are driving, because they veer across the road and they're thinking, hey, I'm not moving my car. You're looking straight ahead, but your car is veering, and people are, you hear the hoot, people tooting at you like, get off the bloody road, you stupid woman or stupid man. What the hell are you doing? And it's not that they deliberately going across that side. They've eaten something, and this is what happens. And we don't look at it as that. We just thinking, well, I had such a good night out there, and I'm hunky-dory. But then this happens to you, and it's the most frightening experience, because when you have that jump start of your heart coming back, or your brain coming back to its senses, you're thinking, goodness me, how did I avoid that? How did I avoid that collision? I could have killed my whole family. That's if you got your family with you. Or you find yourself on the other side of the road and you're thinking, how the hell did I mount that pavement and get on the other side?
Or even saying, oh, my God, I'm home already. Because you've missed your whole trip. Right?
Yeah.
I say, this is so helpful. Wonderful information. Can we commit to the audience if there will be a part 2?
Yes.
Wonderful.
You'll have to stay tuned. May not be this coming Thursday, but we'll get with Mark and we'll make sure it's broadcast and that you all know when it is. So.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, we are a little bit after the top of the hour. We appreciate everyone taking time to join us, and we're going to pray out and give any contact information that we want to share.
Well, I am AndreaNichols Coleman. You can find me on Facebook as AndreaNichols Coleman. If you friend me, make sure you send me a message, please, telling me why you friend me. Because I get tons of requests, and I don't know who they are, and there's just a lot of spam out there. So please send me a message saying, hey, I just friended you. This is what I wanted to talk about, so that I know that you're a real person, and I'll be happy to friend you and talk with you. Also, I admin with Mark Denning, the Wellness Warriorz page, and that is with a Z, Wellness Warriorz with a Z, on Facebook. And you can always reach me there. You do have to request to join, but just put a note in there. Just put my name, Andrea, and they'll get in touch with me and let me know you're looking for me. So, and Tracey?
Yeah, the same goes for me. It's Tracey Bacani. You'll find it on Facebook. And you can either email me at Bacani_Tracey@hotmail.com. And just let me know that you're from this show or Michelle's show, and I'll respond. And I'm also on Wellness Warriorz as well.
Michelle, everybody knows how to find you.
And everyone, my name is Michelle Edmonds, and I am the CEO of Serenity Radio Network. And you can hit me up on Facebook at Serenity Weight Loss, also Michelle Edmonds' Facebook page. But I really would love to hear from you and join the Facebook group, Mind, Body, Spirit Detox. That's really where I love to hang out. That's our group. Please join that. And we thank all of you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join the broadcast. And I always give a special shout-out to Serenity Wellness Warriors with the S. And, Andrea, we're going to pray out, give you the honors, or?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
God, again, we just love you so much, Lord. And once again, you have just lifted our hearts and our wisdom to a new level this evening. And you have reached so many people. And I just thank you so much, God, that you have been able to bring us together through this radio broadcast and make it available to reach so many people because you want us healthy. You want us whole. And you tell us in your word that we are to live life abundantly. And you also tell us that you have given us everything we need, and that is so true because you've given us the food that we need. You've given us the wisdom to know how to eat it and how to reverse these things in our body. And we love you so much for that. We love you that you always show up everywhere we are and that you bring forth the people that you want to hear this message. And we just pray that everyone who is listening and everyone that they know is blessed this coming week and is able to identify one change that they make in their life and they hold fast to until we meet again next Thursday. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Amen. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a wonderful week.
You too.